Ancient of days, mighty God, we worship you with pleasure. You are good, you are kind, you are faithful. Thank you for all you have done throughout the week. Then we thank you for all you have done for us throughout the month. And you give us the grace to see the last day of the month of October. That we are here to take thank you. We return all the adoration of the holy name. Thank you for telling us to protect us for. Thank you for provision. Thank you for sound health. Thank you for everything, Lord. For fighting our battle for us. For defending your interest over our life and our family. That it is accept our praise and worship in Jesus' name. Thank you for that only. Thank you for all you have done and what you have. Thank you for the prayers you answered. Thank you for all. Father, we have exhausted Jesus. Almighty and our Father, we are here before you and the dinner that the King will give us in Jesus' name. Come let your voice be that name. Father, we service today to them. We try that to go and pick up for joy in Jesus' name. God for you. Father, come and have your way in the name of Jesus. Father, glorify your name today, having to Jesus' name. Let us see that we die of blessing. Let us pour us from blessing this morning in the name of Jesus. We commit vessels that are going to use it for the glory of speak to your children in the name of Jesus. Give us life this day in the name of Jesus. And we come against that power, principality, every force in high place, whenever they say, that's not your children this morning. Take them to battle in the name of Jesus. Take them Father in the name of Jesus. Father, we thank you. At the end of the day of today's time, we become one person in the name of Jesus. Therefore, put it back of one Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. In Jesus Christ, I pray. Pray, right? You need Hallelujah. I was still with us. Don't be we are happy people, yes. It is time for you to have what you call when your podcast not what you want. He's like God and if you are happy that you all shout it, hallelujah. He's like God. For your love, for your provision, I need Father, our God will be Father, share. Father, we pray that there are many places as many as this, every blessing, Father, ask for that they are children. And your death will come back to them, Father, children. As many that are looking up to you for financial, the little that of this, Father, we pray that heaven over and this will open up to them of children. Father, we over that this offering will be in the name of Jesus. Father, by this offering will be to your and to your kingdom of Jesus. The God of Jesus. Hallelujah. Say that. Thank you. Amen. Amen. All see that absence is all well because see what is good loving is also be all the I best life. Of I yeah, and the name of that is the hand of somebody will gain all in Jesus' name. And our please answer. As we thank the Lord, you may say, all has been for you. What about the life they are speaking? Or don't you know that the death does not have expectations? Or don't you know that the death does not care about it? Or don't you know the death does not have a dream? The fact that you can speak and see that there are prayer mothers, it means you are alive. Now, if you are alive, the Bible says that there is hope for a dead life, a living God, and a dead life. The fact that you are not dead, the fact that you are still here, the fact that you are not relocated from this congregation to the congregation of the dead is a conflict to prove to you. Except you don't believe that the tomorrow is better than today. If you believe that, say, Father, I, by the grace of God, I know the spirit going every day. Under the economy, me, I know that my tomorrow will be better than today. Tell about oil is expensive. Oil has been expensive before now. Even in 1970 it has been like this. Even before it has also been like this. So something will be like that. But the grace of God, no matter how it is, I'm sorry, that grace of God will carry you. I see the grace of God will carry you. So whatever you think,
London to train in London because that's how quick the gap is. So I may well be wrong, and I'm certainly not dismissing the countless people that are very passionate and very angry and very frustrated. But that result last night is not going to flip me.
You will not die. Hey, of Jesus Christ. You will be alive to see the answer
going, I'm wrong, Ten Hag out. You know, that's a massive game. But yeah, you know, Ineos have said they're not going to sack him. So last night's result might not please a lot of people, I get it, but it's not massively going to change my mind, if I'm being completely honest. But there are a lot of things to take from that. I mean, look, I want to talk about the Ahmad situation. To hear Erik Ten Hag after the game say that, you know, Ahmad didn't play because Anthony's been terrible and deserves his chance. He doesn't deserve his chance. I've stuck with Anthony for a very long time. He has got the future at United. I feel bad about what I'm about to say, but it irritates me when he comes on the pitch now because Ahmad should be playing ahead of him. And I've seen a few conspiracy theories this morning. Let's just talk about Ahmad because there's a lot of other stuff about Mourinho and Man United and standards, etc. I want to get in on. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like, I was appalled to see Mazraoui play number 10 yesterday, but then Mourinho explained it really well. They want to press, and Bruno does it really well. Eriksen's not got the legs. They don't have Mason Mount. Ahmad was saying to Jose before the game, because Jose said it, that Mazraoui can do that position, and he's obviously got both legs. So, you know, even Mourinho can understand why we did it. It's ridiculous. But the Ahmad situation, there has to be an explanation for this. Because if Ahmad started, you know, downing tools and training, in some ways I get it, in other ways I don't get it. So what are we saying? That Anthony is working harder in training than Ahmad, so Anthony gets the chance? I don't know the truth behind that, but Player FC will kill us. We already know Player FC will kill us. And people saying free Ahmad, when they don't know the fucking reality, is a little bit dangerous, because Ahmad would be our starting right winger if he'd actually played well over the last few weeks. He started the season well and he dropped off. And he's out the team deservedly because Rashford played well at the weekend on the right wing and Garnacho played well on the left wing. But yesterday, when things are going wrong, Ahmad to me should be coming on, not Anthony. So the question has to be, okay, Ahmad's lost his place. He's got to deal with that. He's got to take it on the chin and he's got to work hard. If he's not working hard in training and he's, you know, moody, then we've got a problem. He began to say, look on the business. When did you collect? Bible verse. Something happened. The person makes sense. It's somebody that goes to play like himself. We've got another player that's a problem when he doesn't play. But we've got no evidence of that. All we've got is that he's trained well. But it's weird that Anthony has leapfrogged Ahmad when, you know, Anthony doesn't look like he could leapfrog an ant at the moment. So I don't get how Anthony's going to Ahmad. And it's not like we're 4-0 up. It's 1-1 in a game where it would be nice to try and win the game. Ahmad, in my opinion, is our most balanced player. So look, if something's gone on there, like he's refusing to sign a contract or he's not performing in training, he's not happy that he's not playing, it's the wrong player at the club, haven't we? If he's downing tools and doing what we've had with other players, we've got the wrong player and he shouldn't be playing. There's no evidence of that. He's being picked ahead of Ahmad. That's ridiculous to me. So I don't get it. My situation with Ahmad is I don't like FC. So if he doesn't deserve to start for Man United at the moment, but he should be third choice. And if he's not third choice, what's going on? Is it contract related? Is he not performing in training? Why the fuck is Anthony ahead of Ahmad is the question, and to which we don't really have the answer, but it was very strange last night. But I liked what Paul Scholes had to say, and not every ex-player gets it right all the time, and we can't build a statue of them on their punditry, because for every good opinion there's 2 or 3 bad ones. But what he said yesterday to me absolutely sort of nailed it. He was asked about if Man United are making progress, and he said no, not yet. They've played on spells where they look okay. They've missed a few chances, but he went on to say that the league position tells you everything, and I'm talking about the Europa League as well. It's not been good, The big disappointment is that we're 2 and a bit years in and a lot of money's been spent and we're not seeing improvement. You'd like to think by now they'd be up there challenging. The top 3 teams are ahead of most other teams, but you'd like to see them getting a little closer to that, but it doesn't feel like it. It goes on to say that on Saturday they got closer to having their best team out against Brentford. Luke Shaw still is out. The young lad Ronnie and Mainu needs to come back into midfield. I thought there were signs, especially in the second half against Brentford, and they scored 2 really good goals, which excited you. Fingers crossed they can improve. But I think he absolutely nails it there. I thought the second half against Brentford was very good. The game against Fenerbahce, I think Laurie Whitwell said it in The Athletic, it felt like a treading water game. And the trouble with treading water is, it's meh. So the people who want a change will get angry. And the people who want it to work will go, well, there wasn't any evidence there. So you sort of like go on to West Ham, which, you know, is exactly what I said in the match reaction. But what I will say is that, you know, we are 2 and a bit years in, and there are teams out there that are playing decent football. But I still, if you want to have that conversation, we will not play good football with the players that we've got. We won't. I don't look at that team and expect it to play good football. It's very, very, very disjointed. Look at the starting lineup. You've got Martinez at left back. You've got Lindros playing at left side and centre back. You've got Ericsson playing next to Agati. You've got Mazraoui playing as a 10. You've got Rashford on the right. You've got Xerxes up front. We played better when we went to a more structured back 4 with Martinez and De Ligt and Mazraoui at left back, Ericsson at 10, Casemiro and Agati, Rasmus down the middle. We played better then. And that to me is not a surprise. There is obviously a lot of frustration and there's a lot of anger. And I think that, you know, going back to what I said about the start is, am I wrong about Ten Hag? Well, I might be wrong about Ten Hag, but where I am this morning, I've got a smile on my face. I'm about to do the podcast. I'm looking forward to the game. I'm going to Charlton tomorrow, doing some stuff there, and then I'm really looking forward to Sunday. Big game between Liverpool and Arsenal, but massive game for Man United against West Ham, where if we lose that game, I think the frustration that you've seen last night and this morning with some fans will be massive on Sunday night. So every game at the moment, I'm eyes wide open. I feel sorry for the people who are ranting and raving because it's almost like I was watching the game last night and people were going, I was looking at the comments last night and people were going, Goldbridge, your standards are on the floor. And I was like, hold on a minute. What standards are we talking about here? Can we have an honest chat about standards? Because where were these standards under Larry, where he won nothing for 3 years? Where were these standards under Moyes for 6 months, where we're absolutely shite? Where were these standards under Van Gaal? Where were these standards under Jose when we were nowhere near winning the league? I don't know why suddenly standards are back on the plate after 10 years. I mean, look, standards were there for the first year after Moyes and they weren't met. 10 years on, there's a reality to the standards. I know what Man United to do. I want Man United to win Manchester United. You know, I want us to challenge for the title, but we've had 10 years of damage. We've got 10 years of poison. Old Trafford represents the reality. Liverpool didn't win the league for 30 years. And they spent 30 years talking about this. They spent 30 years talking about standards. If you sack Ten Hag tomorrow and you bring in your dream manager, you know 6 months down the line, you'll be drawing away to Fenerbahce or we get beaten by Spurs, will you be shouting about standards now? Whatever the future is, the reality is we haven't been near a title in 10 years and we don't regularly qualify for the Champions League. So I don't know what standards you're talking about. We haven't played good football for a decade. So what are these standards? Are we talking about Beckham and Giggs? Because I want to know what the standards are you're setting. Because if it's the fantasy standards, I agree. But where's the reality standards you're talking about? It's almost like this season is the first season where we've not played very well, we're not in a high position in the league, and we're not winning away now. It's been the last 10 years at Man United. And I understand the craving to get there. People telling me Ten Hag needs to go because of standards. And then they're talking about Ruud van Nistelrooy, who had one season in the Eredivisie. PSV got more points the season before, more points the season after, and he didn't win the league. So the standards of Man United is to sack a manager that actually won the Eredivisie for a guy that used to play for the club and manage PSV for 1 year. And that's the standards. That's the standards we're going for. The standards are to just sack a manager and risk it all on the guy. So I don't really understand the standards because the reality of the standards are we don't set them. And they've been very good for a very long time. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't back at the top of English football because that's what Ineos has said they're going to do. But I don't set the standards. You don't set the standards. So when people are talking about standards, I get a little bit confused because where have you been for the last 10 years? You're acting like a draw away to Fenerbahce or a home loss to Spurs is like the biggest sin in the world. You've been doing it for 10 years. Absolutely doing it for 10 years. The difference, I think, between me and a lot of people is that I actually have a plan. So I know what I would do if I was in charge of Manchester United. And I don't disagree with what Ineos are doing at the moment because I don't see an alternative that's going to really change anything. If we're changing the manager, I'm putting the work in now for a change in the summer. I do not want Van Nistelrooy to come in and be another Solskjaer. I don't really see the point in that. So I would stick with what we're doing at the moment. Sorry, it's all about opinion. As people want to say, well, you're the problem. Since when was Man United's fan base a dictatorship? Can't you deal with the fact that we might be in the minority, that some of us don't want to sack the manager and go down the road that we did with Solskjaer? You want Ten Hag out, that's absolutely fine. I respect it, I listen to it, I've read your comments, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not with you. So stop trying to tell us that we're not with you, that we're the problem, because you're not sacking the manager, we're not keeping the manager. The people who set the standards are the Glazers and Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And they don't listen to you, and they don't listen to me, because if they listened to you, Ten Hag would have been sacked in May, and he would have been sacked in the international break. And if they listen to us, well, loads of other things would have happened that haven't happened either. Stop blaming yourself or blaming other United fans for the problems of Man United Football Club. It is hilarious. I've seen people 4 or 5 years ago literally tweet stuff like the United stand is the biggest problem in the fan base. The Glazers, because we were screaming Ollie out. Hold on a minute. United fans are not responsible for this. We're not responsible for this, and we don't have a say in this. So if you are arguing amongst yourself about standards and you're the biggest problem because you won't agree with me, well, look at yourself. Standards. Glazers have run this club into the ground for 20 years on our watch. United fans watch. The Glazers are still here and they own 50% of the club. So if you're talking about standards and you're moaning about sacking a manager or you're moaning about a player that we won't sell, maybe look in the mirror and go, hold on a minute, we don't control any of this. We talk about it, we get frustrated about it, but we don't control any of this. To stop having a pop at each other because they're Ten Hag out or they're Ten Hag in, and stop talking about standards, because if we had standards in this fan base, like other football clubs, we'd have removed the Glazers and we wouldn't be watching what is effectively our historical landmark rust and rot and get knocked down. So we don't set the standards at this football club, the ownership do. What we do is support it and hope that something good is going to happen. Which I can't guarantee. But what I can say as well is, I would say in reaction to a lot of the frustration is that it is completely and utterly justified. Of course it's justified. It's not good. The results aren't good. We haven't won 2 Premier League games in a row. We win on Saturday. Sorry, on Sunday. But what I want to say is I want to talk about what Jonah said. I want to react a little bit to what Ten Hag said as well. Is that having been at the game on Saturday, and you don't need to be at the game, you can see it, right? When the crowd are with the players, they seem to perform better. So when I see the treatment of some of our players again yesterday, I don't know the manager. Any manager is used to criticism. But when it's about the players, I do wonder what we expect is going to happen. Because criticism, I thought we were meant to be behind the team. I thought we were trying to give these players support because they need support. And then I'm looking around and it's this player's shit, this new signing is shit, this young player is shit. And I'm like, these people just want to see the world burn. Like, we've got people in our fan base who are so focused on being proven right. I'll teach you a lesson about being proven right. If you were Ten Hag out in May and he gets sacked in November, and the week before I'm Ten Hag out, I'm right as you. You don't get any extra prize because you were Ten Hag out in May. As long as I say Ten Hag out before he's sacked, I can go, well, I'm right, because that actually was the time to sack him, not May. So I'm actually more right than you because I did give him the chance. I did back what Ineos were doing. I actually think it was worth getting to this point. But you know what? We're now at the point of no return. Ten Hag out. I was right. And you're going to get people going, no, but I was right longer because I said Ten Hag out in May. Yeah, but we didn't sack him in May. We sacked him in November and I was Ten Hag out the week before. So I'm right too. The trouble about being I told you so is that everybody's right at some point as long as they come to the same solution. And I think there's a lot of people in this fan base who are obsessed with their own I told you so. And I don't mind it about the manager. Get your medal. I'll shout out. I know people in the chat who are Ten Hag out in May, so if you get sacked in November, I will shout you out. I've got some membership to do that, actually. I will shout you out. But what I won't shout you out for, what I find absolutely unfathomable, is the plan that comes afterwards. Because it won't stop there. And you know what? If anybody watches the last end, you knew I was going to flip it. You talk about standards. What about these standards? So, if you're a Man United fan at the moment that isn't screaming 10 Hag out and these players are shit, apparently we're part of the problem. Okay. So this football club is built on a certain style of football. It's built on a certain way of football. Some would say standards. So explain to me why 20-year-olds are getting called shit by Man United fans all the time. Explain to me why new signings who have been here a few weeks are being written off as fucking shit and a waste of time all the time at the moment by the same people that are Ten Hag out. So let's flip the standards. Ten Hag gets sacked. What are those fans going to start saying about Xerxes or Garnacho? Are they going to stop? Because it's all Ten Hag's fault. They've already made their mind up. Xerxes fucking rubbish. Garnacho's ball should be playing Rashford. So we talk about standards, and I want to have a conversation about Ten Hag out because a lot of you might be right, but it's not right the way some people speak about certain players. I think some of our players at the moment are trying to find their way in a Man United shirt because they're young, because they're new signings. And I can't move with people saying they're fucking shit, why don't we buy them? And I'm like, I don't get this. On the one hand, if you're not Ten Hag out, you're part of the problem. But then there's people in the Ten Hag out movement literally calling new signings a bag of shit, giving them no support. It's horrible what our fan base has become, isn't it? And I don't really get what the motivation is. I understand sacking the manager. Everybody sacks managers, that's absolutely fine. But what's the solution? Please tell me what the plan is afterwards. Because you're not going to be happy, are you? You'll sack Ten Hag and it won't be the manager you want, so then you'll start on them. The players that you don't like will still be here, so you'll still be fucking moaning about them. Like, what is the solution? Because it's almost like you think that... I don't think some of you even know. I just think you want to see the world burn. I don't think you actually know the standards you want to chase. Because look at Xerxes. Well, we need to fuck Ten Hag off, we need to fuck Xerxes off. That's going to cost you over £100 million to do that straight away. Who's replacing Xerxes then? Oh, we'll just go and get Sesko. Yeah, that's 35 million we haven't even paid yet for Xerxes. That's another 60 million for Sesko. Oh, you're sacking Ten Hag as well. It's like there has to be an element, with or without Ten Hag, that we make this work with the squad that we have, because we're a massively in-depth football club. And I suppose it goes back to standards again. What standards are you talking about? Liverpool were in this position for 30 years. What arrogance it is to think that one sacking is going to take us back to where we're meant to be. I actually think Paul Scholes is right in one sense, that he thinks we should be up there with Arsenal. Have you looked at the way we play? We weren't playing good football with Solskjaer, and we're not playing good football now. We don't actually play good football because we haven't actually got players who can do it. Now, of course, that's based on recruitment. Of course, it's based on previous players. It's based on the whole package. But where is this press the button and suddenly we're fighting with Arsenal? Who's the manager that's going to do it? Where's the money that's going to do it? Like, whatever happens, what scares me is whether Ten Hag survives or not, and he might not, you will have to be patient. It is absolutely staring you in the face. So when you get angry with people who are going, why aren't you Ten Hag out after a draw in Fenerbahce? Because whether Ten Hag stays or he gets replaced, it is glaringly obvious that you're going to have to be patient and I'm going to have to be patient. There is no quick fix. It's 10 years of erosion. It's 10 years of toxicity. It's 10 years of problems. And whoever the manager comes in, whether it's Pep or whatever, and it won't be Pep, it's going to take time. And if you know what, part of me has said this for a few weeks. I wish they would get what they want, the Ten Hag out movement, because then they've got nothing to moan about and they can be patient like we are trying to be patient now. Because whatever happens, whoever the manager is, this is going to take fucking ages. There's just too much that needs to be done. And it will take a long time. And maybe under a new manager things will be a bit better, but are you really confident that it will be? Because I think that it goes deeper than that. There is a whole mentality issue in the football club. There is a lot of issues in the football club. But I'm not making excuses because I'm not talking about Ten Hag. I'm talking about the football club itself. I don't get why people are screaming and shouting and obsessed about a draw away to Fenerbahce. I saw Ten Hag. I've seen Sir Alex Ferguson teams that were winning titles go to Turkey and not win. Maybe it's an age thing, but it's not a guaranteed win. So I get it, but I don't get what you want. Because I don't think you know what you want. You just want the manager to be sacked. And that, to me, I've seen it happen so many times. So what are you doing after that? You know, my question to you is, let's sack Ten Hag, and are you going to be patient? Are you going to give it 2-3 years to be rebuilt again? I don't think you will. Because I think what happens is you become indoctrinated to the cycle as well. You won't give it time because as soon as we get beat by a Spurs or an Arsenal, it's fucking embarrassing. You can't deal with it. Look at what has happened to this football club over the last 10 years. There are standards of where we should be, but there's a stone cold reality. We don't finish in the top four very often. We don't play good football at all. We overpay on players. We've got too many players that probably aren't good enough. We've had an ownership that's only just been moved out this summer of the football things. Whatever happens, we're going to have to be patient. So when people say, why aren't you screaming and shouting after Fenerbahce? Because it's sort of what we are. The last 10 years, we've had so many results like this. In fact, we've lost those sort of games as well. So I know Ineos aren't waking up this morning thinking about sacking Ten Hag. They're just not. So why am I going to decide to do it? Why am I going to change my mind? Yes, there is apathy. Yes, I'm tired. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, I despair at the toxicity in the fan base. I get it. I understand why people are angry. I've been there. I was there with Van Gaal very early. I get it. I really do. When you've walked in them shoes, I completely get what it's like after a game when you don't want that manager anymore. When you wake up in the morning, I get it. I'm not listening to it. I'm not self-reflecting. But I'm not there with you at the moment. And some people aren't. And I'm not telling you you're wrong. You can tell me I'm wrong, but we don't really decide anyway. And anybody who thinks this morning Ineos are sat there having a big meeting again saying we should sack him, they're not. Because we've got a game on Sunday. And that game, for me, is much bigger than last night. If we'd lost last night, then maybe it's different. Let me get into some more comments, and then I want to talk about what Jose Mourinho's had to say as well. Look, I'm always going to have my opinion. You're always going to have your opinion. What my point is, I'm not sitting here saying you've got to stick with Ten Hag, you've got to get behind Ten Hag because it's definitely going to work. I might be wrong. I've been wrong on plenty of things, and I'll be wrong on plenty of other things. I'll be wrong on non-football things 3 or 4 times in the next hour when I finish this show. You know, I'll be at a roundabout, I'll go out, I'll get pipped. I'm in the wrong. You know, these things will happen. But also, I don't see now as being the time that they're going to sack him anyway. And when it happens, I thought it could happen in the international break. I was ready for it. I'm just not as stressed and angry as some of you are. Because I'm sort of like, what will be. Got a game on Sunday. You never know. The players might turn up and we might win, and then we're back in the mood. I love the feelings I felt against Brentford. I don't like the feelings that I feel at the moment. But we're not in control of how that's going to be. And one other thing I would say before I read some of your chats is, when you talk about Man United should be in a certain position, Lewis Hamilton in Formula One dominated for years. He's not dominating anymore. He thinks he should be at the top. He's nowhere near. He's going to drive a new car next year. He might never get back. Maybe he's never going to get back. Maybe he'll get a new car and he will get back. Maybe Man United are never going to get back. Maybe we'll get a new manager and he will get back. I don't know. Liverpool, 30 years. Wow, we should be at the top. It took them 30 years to figure it out. Maybe it took 30 years for Man United to figure it out. We've got no divine right to be where we are. And it's whatever happens, if we sack Ten Hag, I would just pray that people give Van Nistelrooy time, or whoever the next manager is going to be time, because it's just not going to. It's not. I don't look at that Man United side and go, we're a managerial sacking away from being up there with Man City. I look at it and go, we're either going to do something with these players or we're not. Actually, I think that's a good point. How do you feel about this? Do you think this squad is good enough to compete with Man City? I'm going to do a poll on that because I think it's a question that I was thinking about this moment. Forget the manager. Do you think this squad can fight for the title in the future? Do you think it's got potential? You know, you've sacked the manager or you've kept the manager. Do you think it's good? Because I have to believe you can be, because that's the project we're being sold. But I'm scared it's not. I'm not going to sit here and say no, it's not, because I believe it can be. I think that there are players that are new, there are players that are young, there are players that are experienced that can do better. The scary thing is if it's not, because if it's not, how much of a rebuild do you need again for a new manager? And that's really scary. I mean, just going back to Ahmad for a moment, because there's some cracking chats to get in. There was, I forget the name of the Twitter account. They don't like Rashford, to be fair. And they were basically saying that the Rashford virus is causing a problem at Manchester United right now, because Rashford has to play for Manchester United, so Garnacho's playing well on the left, so Rashford has to play on the right, and now Ahmad's out of the team. So Ahmad will come back into the team, and then Rashford will go to the left, and then Garnacho will go out of the team. And basically what they're saying is that Rashford's one of the biggest problems at the football club, because he's been here for a very long time, we've been inconsistent for a very long time, and we've always got to find a place for Rashford, which always ultimately leads to inconsistency, because he's an inconsistent player. I think that's a huge mistake. I think it's a huge mistake. I think there's people out there that don't rate Rashford. Some people do it in a very angry way. Some people are like Ricky, who just doesn't rate him. But I don't agree with that. I don't think that this problem resides around one player. I don't think that if we remove Marcus Rashford at the moment, Man United are going to play better. I think there's a lot of players that you look at and go, oh, they're good enough to take us to where Arsenal and Man City are. But I don't think that is the major issue at Man United. Much the same as I don't think Bruno is the major issue either. I think both those players should be doing better on a more consistent basis, but there's a lot of players like that. I think it's the change. To me, the big problem at the moment is that the team plays in moments, and it causes us problems. Like, if you think about the start to the Brentford half, in the second half, we played really well for 20 minutes. And that got us the game. That won us the game. But teams like Liverpool and Villa, they play well for 80 minutes. They play in spurts. And you know, when Anthony went down with 10 minutes to go, I was furious because I felt that we were in. It's so easy to read it if you're in my head, but like when I got injured, I got so angry because I felt we were in a 10-minute period where we were actually creating chances, and Anthony killed it because he's down for about 5 minutes, and then by the time Ahmad comes on, that bit of momentum's gone, and we play in little sections. And I felt we were in a section there that got killed by that injury. But look at us defensively. I thought defensively yesterday we were very good. And then Lindelof switches off for a minute, and then it's 1-1, and that causes us problems. Inconsistency is a huge problem for Manchester United. But I don't think it's like, if Ten Hag got the sack, I don't think I'd be sat there going, right, now we need to remove the virus of Bruno or the virus of Rashford. I think our problems are far bigger than that. I don't think it's a one-player thing, really. Let me get into your topics, and then I want to talk about what Jose said. Thanks for listening to me. You understand. I certainly understand you. As I said at the start, funny enough, I was saying this on That's Football the other day. I don't know whether it's, well, look, you could understand this at 15, and if you do, your life will be much richer. Took me a few years to understand it. I don't think I understood it on this channel 5 years ago. But when people are criticising you or disagreeing with you, one of the first principles is to self-reflect as you go through that process. If somebody is having a pop at your opinion or disagreeing with you, the first thing you should always do, I think, is listen to what they're saying and self-reflect and ask the question, am I in the wrong? And looking at the comments last night, it was relentless about, you know, why do you think it's a good result? Why are you accepting these standards? And it's a bloody good question to ask. And I agree with a lot of what people say. I just don't think that, I don't agree with the standards argument at all, because I don't understand what that is. We don't set the standards. I know where Man United should be. We should be winning the league, but we've not done it for 10 years. And actually, there's a reality. If you don't think this is Man United, then that's great, but you're delusional. If you don't think that playing in the Europa League is our standard, then you're delusional, because we've been in it a lot over the last 10 years. If you don't think drawing in Turkey or, you know, getting beat by Spurs is our standard, where have you been for the last 10 years? Like, do you not remember that game where Spurs smashed us up in COVID? So it's not acceptable where we are, but it's not exclusively on Ineos, and it's not exclusively on Ten Hag. We've been here for a long time. Of course, we've got to find a solution to get out of it. Maybe it will be to sack the manager, but I think, as I say, it's going to take a long time. And the reality is that the thing that worries me, I'm not scared about Ten Hag getting sacked. It might happen. What worries me is the toxicity around players and the toxicity around the manager that I think will not disappear if the manager goes. I'm worried about how aggressively toxic some of our fans are towards certain players and the manager. Not because it's not deserved for the manager, but because it's easy to transfer it to somebody else. Somebody said to me, I'm going to tell you on the private, if Ten Hag gets sacked, all that anger and toxicity will disappear, and everyone will be holding hands, supporting the next manager and the players. I'll go, you know what, this is interesting, but it won't happen. It won't happen. Some of these people just want to see the world burn. Some of them just want to be proved right. You know, it's all. I actually think they quite enjoy moaning about players and managers. It's almost like, you know, when I see some of the stuff about Xerxes or Agate a few weeks ago, or De Ligt or Garnacho or Rashford, I think that's in them. That's not going to stop. Like, these are Man United players that I just don't think they're ever going to like, and I don't think they're ever going to shut up about not liking them. And how is that going to be useful for us moving forward as a football club? So whether we sack Ten Hag or not, I can live with it. But I do worry about where we're going as a football club, because I think there's just so much anger and frustration that will not disappear just because of that. Last year we lose that match. We must be patient. It's cool. Right, let's get into some of your comments. I'm not Ten Hag in or out. I'm now a doubt. I've always said what he does with the youth is brilliant. However, the Ahmad, Amas and Collier issue is worrying, says Acid. I agree with you, Acid. I'm sort of like, I'm saying this morning, look, I'm sticking with this. I'm not Ten Hag out. I'm not against Ineos, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everything's going to be okay. You know, I'm not going to get my guitar and try to play Bob Marley. I can't play Bob Marley, but also I can't guarantee it. I think I said it a few weeks ago. What if there isn't a brighter future? What if this is Man United for the next 20 years? Like, one way or another. I don't know what's going to happen. Our best players, Bruno and Rashford, down tools every other week. How could we ever win the league with that as your leadership, says Trey. Ray says, Ray Colbrown, thanks for the super chat this morning. Legend of the chat, of course. People had a draw against Jose game. His bad, disagree. Jose's world class, and he surprised me how much on front foot he was. He did well. Look, in relation to, look, I will say this. In isolation, that result last night is not a bad result. When you take into account everything else, I get it. I completely get it. You know, it's not just about last night. It's about what happened against FC 20 at home, where we shouldn't have drawn that game. It's about Porto, where you're 2-0 up and it ends up being 3-3. We've blown the lead in the last 3 Europa League games. That is a problem. Of course it is. There's a wider issue here. But some people didn't agree with me, but I'm telling you now, if we beat West Ham on Sunday, last night's a good result. If we lose to West Ham on Sunday, last night's a terrible result. And that's not, they're not even the same tournament, but sometimes you look at a week and I go, I'll take a draw in Turkey if we beat West Ham. If we don't beat West Ham, then that draw isn't good. Someone says, not title, but yes, we should be getting top 4 with a better manager. I think we really did miss Bruno, says Anas. Robert McCormack says, we should be top 4, but don't play like it. Liam says, these people want to watch the world burn, but complain when the lights and water don't work. Youngsters will always take time. Millennials are impatient, says Liam. Mark, I fully think the negativity from fans on our players contributes to why we can't sell them for more, says Cornetto. Look, I obviously think a little bit different to some people this morning, but take it away from the manager for the moment, because I think it's completely separate. If you think going on social media, calling our new signings or young players a load of shit is going to help this football club get back where you want it, you're lost. Managers can deal with that. Jose, Van Gaal, Ollie, Ten Hag. Young players, whether they're new signings or youngsters, are on social media. And if you think writing them off and calling them shit is going to get us back, with or without Ten Hag, I think that needs to change. I think it's one of the biggest problems in the fan base. I think Cornetto is right. And I'm not here to tell you how to think. As I said, I've spent the last half an hour with you reflecting on what you lot have said to me who don't agree with me, and that's absolutely fine. But I'm telling you now, whether you've been to Old Trafford, whether you've watched it on the TV, these kids are aware of what's going on social media. And it filters back. And if you're Joshua Zirkzee this morning and you're seeing stuff like, what a bum, what a waste of time, we never should have bought him, he's absolutely fucking shit. And his mentality is not that of a Cristiano Ronaldo, it's that of a player that's a little bit doubtful. Then we've probably just burnt him. And we've contributed to that. You know, you want to set the standards, you want to say that fans matter. You definitely do. And look, we're talking needs to go. I've given him loads of chances. He needs to go. He's had 3 years nearly at the football club. That's a long time. But young players, new signings, look at the Gravenberch effect at Liverpool. Look at other players at other clubs who have a slow start and then establish themselves. We need to protect and nurture our players. I don't care what you think about the manager. I really don't. But I would say if anyone wants to listen, please think about what you're saying about Rashford or well, maybe Bruno's a bit different. But certainly What you saying about Gillespie? What you saying about Xerxes? What you saying about Connaughton? What you saying about De Ligt? What you saying about Mainoo? What you saying about Rasmus? What you saying about young players? Please just think about it and go, what I say and the pylon I jump on will have an impact. Maybe you think they are shit, but does it do any? Who does it benefit if you get on social media and you do a little clip of yourself going, I think Xerxes is the biggest load of shit in the world and the worst signing in the world? Who does that benefit? You're doing it for the retweets. You're doing it for the views. You're certainly not doing it for the benefit of the club that you support, and you're definitely not doing it for the player that maybe could turn into something. And it's also really important to remember that these are not Ten Hag signings. These are Ineos signings. Ten Hag's part of the decision, but Ineos won't do it if they don't want to do it. So Ineos chose Xerxes. Ineos chose De Ligt. Ineos chose Mazraoui. Ineos chose Agate. Ineos chose Yoro. Ten Hag signed it off, but they did it together. So even if Ten Hag gets sacked, my point is, Ineos still wanted Xerxes. Ineos still wanted Agate. So the new manager will be expected to work with those players. Will everybody who said Xerxes shit suddenly say he's really good if we sack Ten Hag and they get the manager they want? So forget the manager. Just try and support some of these players, because if we write them off, they're shit. But if we stick with them, maybe they won't be shit. Hi Mark, easy to sack Ten Hag. Suitable replacement is frankly impossible with the availability of managers, says Amano. People who say Liam or Frank are clueless. Perk says, it seems to me the Ten Hag outers have all the arrogance gained from all the successes, but none of the long-term thinking that caused the previous success. I have got no problem with the Ten Hag out brigade. In fact, brigade might sound a little bit like I'm downtrodden them. I haven't got a problem with it. I get it. I understand it. I even said on the Monday after the international break, part of me would be relieved if they sacked him, because then we can move on. Because I just want a fan base that tries and gets behind something. But I haven't got a problem with it. Just not with them at the moment. I'm not, I get it. Shatish says, Mark, most people want Ten Hag out, not purely because of the results, but because of his bad decision making, as well as his favouritism. Is this really the quality you want in our manager, says Shatish? Give me your next manager, Shatish. I don't want to be boring, but I've said this to you for a year. Who's the next manager, mate? Are we just sacking him because you want to get rid of him, or have you actually got somebody lined up? Or are you just saying anything's better than this? Well, again, I respect it. Stop trying to convince me. What's the problem people have with people who don't agree with them? Like, fine, Shatish, you've had your platform, which is great. You raise a good point that a lot of people will agree with. I don't agree. What's the problem? I would rather stick with what we're doing at the moment, because the manager I would want isn't there. And I actually believe that it would be better. Understand you don't want to create chaos by sacking the manager during the season opposed to next summer. Long run, do Ten Hag will win a Premier League, or do you think a new manager appointment is needed, to Zero? I think this is a great question. For me, we've got to get to the summer. I would say if we get to the summer and we finished 5th, it might be time to make a change. If we get to the summer and we're still not doing anything coherently in the way that we play, I think it would be time to make a change. My ideal scenario, if somebody said to me, look, Ten Hag will get the sack no matter what, but you can on what happens, but you won't finish top 4, I would say, it's an interesting point actually. If somebody said to me, Ten Hag's getting the sack between now and the summer, you can decide and you can decide what happens, but you will not win a trophy and you will not finish in the top 4, I would say, right, we finish 5th and we sack Ten Hag in the summer, because in the summer we'll have better choice rather than now. I just don't think now is the time to do it. I mean, I don't want it to happen, but I don't think now's the time to do it. I've been down this road with Solskjaer. I desperately do not want an ex-player taking over. I'll tell you what, I will scream and shout, I will let it all out if Ten Hag gets sacked and the players go on a 6-7 winning game streak. I will fucking lose it. I was looking at this yesterday with Arne Slot. Arne Slot has had a really good start with Liverpool, but there's a chart. He's got 21 points or 21 points. He's got 21 points from his first 24. Solskjaer had 22. He's got the best record. 22 from 24. Solskjaer won 7 and drew 1 of his first 8 games. And he took over after we were playing fucking shit with Jose. Literally, we lost to Liverpool with Jose. Ollie came in and we won 7 Premier League games and drew 1. If that happens with Reed, I'll lose it. I'll fucking lose it. Because we lost Mourinho because players down tools, and then when he went, they were like, let's try it. If we do that again, I'll go fucking mad, because we'll end up giving a contract and those players just little they respect this football club that they can turn it on. I don't want that. The big issue United fans face, especially the ones that watch us on titles, is they hold on to standards, and we are Manchester United as captain. Some great comments coming in. Hi Mark, I respect everyone's opinion like yourself. For me, standards is progress. I see it slowly happening at the back, but going forward there is a lot to be done, to be honest, says Lee. Mate, I'll give you a little bit of insight. I don't think he'll start Ugarte on Sunday. I don't. Listening to what he said after the game, I don't think he'll even start Ugarte on Sunday. That will make me so pissed off. He basically said, progress, but he's got to get, he did well, he's got to settle this stuff. And so I'm not sitting here saying that this is definitely going to work. And I'm not sitting here saying that people are... I'm just sort of like, I know the reality. He ain't getting sacked today. We've got a game on Sunday. I'm thinking about that. Let's see what happens on Monday. Sajid says you're wrong. Why are wingers so selfish? It's so frustrating when they always look to score, says like Schofield. Very, very quickly on that. Great comment. Thanks for the super chat. Our wingers are a huge issue. They've been a huge issue for a very long time. You look at the modern winger, Anthony Gordon, Saka, Diaz, they've got goals in them, but they've got creativity in them, and you don't know what they're going to do. They're very unpredictable. Our wingers are very predictable. The great thing about Garnacho yesterday and Rashford last weekend was they did something unpredictable that led to a goal. But we need to be more predictable. And, anybody who disagrees with me on that, there's a reason Ineos and Ten Hag wanted Elise from last March. It was one of the first things Ineos highlighted was that Man United need a more unpredictable winger. Elise, we went for pretty much from February. He was a high priority signing, and Bayern got him. He was our number 1 signing for the summer, I believe, but we certainly wanted him. They still want that winger. Whether you love Ahmad, Rashford, Garnacho, they still want this modern winger who is unpredictable and creates chances, because we actually don't have it. Harvey says Zirks is absolutely shocking, and you served my point. Thank you, Harvey. So what's your solution? Just accept our fate as losers and don't say anything when we're getting worse each season. Such a loser mentality. I didn't say that, Space Oddie. I don't know whether that was an early one. Standards is Ten Hag out as new buzzword, says MMA Takedown. JR, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Ahmad and Sancho have similar qualities. Maybe Ten Hag wants explosive wingers on the pitch. Ahmad is our best right winger, though. He just needs a win of games. I don't disagree. We have to find a manager. Look, I would put Ahmad in the right wing and let Rashford and Garnacho battle it out on the left. I've said this for a while. I don't think Rashford looks comfortable on the right. We have to find a manager who will get the most out of our players, because United squad won't be challenging anytime soon. This is Liam. Great point. Yesterday's result makes sense. On Sunday, lose Sunday, it's time for a season. Write off. United's team has inconsistent roles and mentality. Patience, says Akil. So are you saying that it's impossible that Anthony is working hard to get back into contention during training? Everyone deserves their chance, says Evans. No, I'm sure Anthony is tearing it up in training, but I've also watched him play for 2 years, and he ain't good enough for the Prem. So I don't know what he does in training. Actually, this is where it blows people's mind, because I'm not green or red. I'm amber. I live in between. So I can be critical of Ten Hag without actually wanting the Ineos to sack him at the moment. But what he said about Anthony and Ahmad makes no sense to me, because what he's basically saying is Anthony's been tearing it up in training and deserves his chance. I get that, but there is also history that shows you he can't cut it in a Man United shirt. So I get that if somebody does well in training, that's great. But have you not watched him for the last 2 years? He can't deal with first team football for Man United. And when he came on yesterday, he gave the ball away to... You can see on the edge of the box, when Fenerbahce just had a corner, it drops to Anthony on the edge of the box. He's either got to get it under control and run with it, or he's got to make a pass that keeps possession. On the bounce, he tries and plays it centrally to a midfielder in a dangerous position and gives it up. His brain just doesn't operate in a Man United shirt. So I don't care what he's doing in training. It should have been Ahmad. Today's Mark's 1 year without winning Europe, says Nikki. Hi, Mark. I love this community, but my last 4 super chats haven't been read out, says Marlo. There's been a lot coming in today, mate. And in some cases, you only read out the first sentence, says Marlo. The problem is Ten Hag has got himself in this position with endless poor results, and draw isn't good enough at this point, whether it's a good point or not. I agree, Sean. I completely agree with you. I said this actually last night. It was on the WhatsApp group. I said the problem with United at the moment is everybody needs to acknowledge it. There is a section of people who don't believe in this project, and there is a section of people that are going to give the project time. So when you draw away to Fenerbahce, some of us go, not a great result, but not the end of the world. Some people who aren't on board with the project go, well, it's not a win, fucking hate it. And that's understandable. As I say, the ability to self-reflect and look at it pragmatically and go, well, I understand why those people are reacting like that. I understand why people are reacting like that. You know, there are people going, don't know why people are moaning, it's not a great result, but it's not a bad result. And there are people going, it's the end of the world. They're doing it because they don't believe in the project. They're doing it because they do want to give the project a chance. The problem is the two start hating and fighting each other, and it just becomes very tiring. Lindelof was enjoying the walk in the park. Don't get me started on him. Based on decisions, and it's annoying, says Keel, but I think they're planning for sales of Eriksen. We must be patient. I agree with you, Mark. We can't decide on Ten Hag after he's practically in his first season with a summer he really wanted, and Deadwood's still there, says Arch. Hi, Mark. It's my birthday today. Happy birthday, Luke Ryan. I hope you win against West Ham. Love the streams. And it's my 18th. Well, 20 years older, mate. Enjoy it. By your standards, hopefully this game will touch the ball, says Space. Okay. Just want a team to be excited by and proud of, says Jamie Watts. At a bit deserve, not relentless embarrassment stuck in the mud. But my point is, people are acting like that's the first time we've played like that. We've been doing it for 10 years. Maybe we don't play football very well for 10 years for a reason. And maybe people need to just self-reflect a bit and go, why are you demanding something that we've not been able to achieve for 10 years? And why aren't we achieving that? What's going wrong within this football club? Is it the squad? Is it recruitment? Is it the manager? Is it the ownership? Why is it that we don't play good football sustainably under Van Gaal, under Moyes, under Ollie, under Ten Hag, under Mourinho? It's been going on for a long time. Man United striker, we draw or lose 3-4 games. The manager's job is on the line, and that's when we perform. We say we're back and lose the next game, says Silvio. I always had faith in Ten Hag. Still going to give him at least up until the end of the year if he's still here. We should be full squad and take it from there, says Edgar. I think sacking the manager is like putting a plaster on an open wound. Temporary solution to a long-term problem, says James. Hi, Mark. Do you think we want Xerxes to service our wingers because all our wingers would rather do is shoot? Well, Mourinho said this. Mourinho said that Xerxes is the sort of striker that drops in deep so the wingers can come in behind him. And Mourinho knew it was going to happen. He didn't allow his centre-backs to follow Xerxes. So, yeah, I think that's exactly what Xerxes wanted to do, to be honest with you. What we're so afraid of, Southgate as a manager, we would have been having exactly the same season if we got him, says Hader. And Arkil says, one thing I see completely opposite to the last 5 managers is these players are with the manager. Maybe those are stepping stones to reach a good mentality among the players. I mean, that's a good point, Akil. I don't think the players are downing tools, and I would give them that. I mean, the amount of times under Jose and Ollie towards the end where you want the manager to go, but, you know, you're fuming with the players as well. I've got to say, there are a lot of players that are clearly not doing that, and that is to their credit. No matter what happens, nobody wants to see players downing tools in a Man United shirt, so I would give them some credit on that. Hi, Mark. Ten Hag is still has time. However, the Ugarte signing is a total blunder. As a South American, he was not once rated more than average. Celtic. I disagree. I mean, you're not going to get me turning on new signings, so it's not going to happen anyway. But I like him. I just think he needs to play more games. Definitely. Robert McCormack says, will you knock Ten Hag out before knowing who you want? That's not why I'm not Ten Hag out, Robert. I'm not Ten Hag out because I just don't I don't agree with what we've been doing for the last 10 years. It's almost to the day that we're looking to sack Ten Hag at the same sort of time we sacked Ollie 2 and a bit years in, Mourinho 2 and a bit years in. I think I don't believe there's very good options out there, but you never know. I mean, look, one thing I will say is that there might not be good managers out there. That's only because they're not available. What I don't understand about density of class is if Ten Hag got sacked tomorrow, why couldn't you go and get Emery from Villa? Why couldn't you get Nagelsmann from Germany? You know, you make them an offer they can't refuse. Manchester United, apparently. Where's the standards? So it's not for me about what's available. I mean, I know the reality, Robert. This is the problem. Is the standard is the reality, and the reality is the reality. The standard is we want to win titles and we want to have the best. The reality is we're nowhere near it. And if we sack Ten Hag, we're going to be using Rude, aren't we? But I don't know why, if we did sack Ten Hag, we can't just go and get a manager from a club that's already out of club. But we won't do that, will we? So for me, it's not about. I'm not saying let's sack the manager because there's not a manager out there, because who knows what's out there. But I just don't believe this is the time to do it. I don't. I think the time to do it for them was May. They've then decided not to do it. They've spent a lot of money, and I think they've got to see it out longer than they have. And I think they will. I think they will. I think West Ham's a big game, but I don't think that Ten Hag gets sacked before this international break. And I still think that's unlikely. But if it lost to West Ham and Chelsea, it would not be looking good, would it? We live in the era of keyboard warriors, says JR. I think we just need to ride the storm and these players will click. Well, this is the problem, isn't it? Because it's about selfishness. It's about being proved right. Certain people are so adamantly Ten Hag out. They're doing what they can to make it happen. They're slagging players off. They won't get behind certain players. So it's almost like it's a relentless obsession. They want Ten Hag out and they'll do anything they can to get it. And it's dangerous because you're damaging players in the process. I believe we should be getting behind the players. I thought they played well in the second half against Brentford, and I think a lot of them did well yesterday. I think a few could have done better, but the problem is it's just very toxic at the moment, and some of the players are bearing the brunt of it, whether that's Rashford, whether that's Xerxes, whether that's Agate, whether that's Garnacho. They need to believe that they got the fans back, which is why on Sunday it might not be a bad thing, because I'd rather it was at Old Trafford, obviously, but the away support's very good. When you see some of the discourse around players, it's no wonder when players leave and they do better, says Patrick. Thank you very much. Okay, it's 11 o'clock and I need to get over to the Goldbridge Arms for our midday podcast Premier League preview, where we'll be talking about the West Ham game, of course. Absolute legends this morning. I wish I could offer something up. That I'll talk about what Mourinho said in